Sunday. I'd like to welcome everyone who's here, especially any visitors who might be with us. I invite everyone to fill out the welcome sheets at the end of your rows and pass those along to your neighbor. And I hear some reverberation. There we go. Also, I want to invite everyone to join together afterwards in fellowship and to get to know one another even better, and hope you'll join in at that time as well. Well, today is Stewardship Sunday, and a little bit later in the service we'll have an opportunity for those of you who have promise cards and time and talent sheets to fill those out and to place those on the table or on stands that we will have, and we will give you explanation about that a little bit later in the service. But hope that some of you have come prepared to offer your time and talent forms and promise cards. And if you have not, I'm pretty much sure that we'll have some for you to fill out if you know what your pledge might be for this year. As many of you know, I was away last week for the last 10 days, literally for a week, and I want to thank all the leadership of the church for the time I was away, and especially Pastor Elaine. Sally and I had a great time. It was a mix of business and vacation. We were in sunny San Diego. It was 75 degrees when we left, and it wasn't when we got here. And so I did not bring the snow. But so glad to be back. Now it's time for prayer requests, and since I was out in California, I definitely have a prayer request for the things going on there. As you know, a number of weeks ago, there was the shooting in Thousand Oaks, California. And there's also been fires going on, not only in Northern California, which seems to be beset with fire after fire after fire, but also a number of fires around the Los Angeles area. And as it turns out, Thousand Oaks, California was a staging area for the fires. So not only did they go through the shootings and that, all the trauma and everything they've gone through with that, but also dealing with the fires all around them and in their own community. And so I asked this morning that we especially keep in prayer those in California and those in Thousand Oaks, California in particular.
Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth.
Worship the Lord with gladness. Come into God's presence to sing.
Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all you peoples.
Know that the Lord is God.
Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the lands.
He is God who made us, and we are the Lord's. We are God's people, the Lord is our shepherd.
Enter God's gates with thanksgiving. Enter the Lord's courts with praise.
Give thanks to the Lord. Bless God's holy name.
For the Lord is good.
God's steadfast love endures forever. God's faithfulness extends to all generations.
Holy God, you are deserving of the very best we have to offer. The devotion of our hearts, the place of honor in our priorities, the first fruits of our labors. We enter this place of worship giving thanks for your presence. Help us to embrace your message of love and mercy, conviction and challenge. We welcome your spirit and open ourselves in faith and trust to your mission and ministry. Enter our hearts, we pray, and may our worship be acceptable in your sight. Amen. As we take a moment to reflect on our lives, our accomplishments, and our shortcomings, let us confess to him. How easily we have forgotten you, O God of our salvation. We imagine that our prosperity is our own design. As we celebrate this day of blessing and stewardship, help us to turn our hearts back to you. Forgive us for the many ways we hold on to your abundant gifts. Loosen the chains that keep us from sharing with others as generously as you have shared with us. Guide us so we might grow into cheerful leaders and grateful disciples of philosophy. Sisters and brothers, we are all children of light, clothed in faith and love. You are God's own children, covered with the hope of salvation in Christ Jesus. Take heart. We are all forgiven and reconciled to God. Amen.
We gather this day to praise and worship God. We gather this day in the peace of Christ. And so I say to you, the peace of Christ be with you. Let us share Christ's peace with one another.
Did you hear what Pastor Butch said at the beginning of the service about what we're doing today? No. You checked. You're getting the check? Okay. Well, it is Stewardship Sunday. So what does that mean? Not a clue, huh? Yeah. I'm not sure I even heard that word when I was your age. We've talked about it a lot here over the last few weeks, but it's an awfully big word, and it sounds like an awfully grown-up word, doesn't it? Yeah, right. Stewardship is about the ways that all of us use all of the blessings that we've been given, all the good things that we have in our life, to serve God. And lots of times, that means for grown-up people, they think that means how much money are they going to give to the church? Do you have lots of money to give to the church? You don't have lots of money to do anything with, do you? Right. So, and there are lots of folks that don't feel as if they have very much money to give to the church. So then what do? Oh no, we look this finger. Oh dear, that's bad news, isn't it? Well, let's talk about what we can do, the other things that we do for the church. Lots of these grown-ups out here. Do you know some of the things that they do for the church? They volunteer to do things. What do they do? They do stuff the kids can't do. They give donations, they sing in the choir, they teach Sunday school classes, they lead groups that pack up backpacks for kids who need extra food over the weekend. We call them the Eating Bag Project. They do all kinds of things. So what can you do? Clean up the toys. Play outside. Let's think how playing outside serves the church. I'm sure it does in some way, yes. Yeah, we have a work day here that lots of folks, old and young, come and rake up leaves and pull weeds and get things all cleaned up. I think probably we've done our fall one. We've done our fall one. But we'll be doing one in the spring, that's for sure. What are some of the things when you're out there at snack time and you spill something? Clean it up. Yeah, pick up your mess. If you've been playing in the nursery, you're all too old for the nursery now, aren't you? During worship. Oh, because you're still in kindergarten. That's right. Okay, so you still get to go to the nursery. So when you're all done, how do you help out the nursery? Clean up, put the toys away. Yeah. If you see a spill someplace, clean it up. Or if there's something that you realize has gone wrong, like evidently in the men's bathroom this morning, there was something that needed to be cleaned up. You know, you can say, oh, Pastor Butcher, find one of the trustees. Do you know who trustees are? Do you know who the trustees are? Oh, good job. The trustees, those are the people on our ministry team of trustees that make sure all the things about the building are in good shape and taken care of. Maybe the trustees who are here could raise their hands so you can see who they are. Yeah. There are a couple of them there. So, you know, if you saw something that was wrong, you can mention it to them. You know, a light bulb was out, or, you know, just little things. But there are all kinds of ways. One of the best things that you all do, you participate in the chime choir. You come up and you, a lot of you are included when we do the showtime, showcase. After you've had a good Sunday school lesson, and you tell us about what you've learned, crowd walk. Yeah, so even though you're young, there are lots of ways you can still be good stewards and use the gifts that God has given you to help out other people. Just by being kind to the folks out there, you know what you can do this morning as you leave right now? You can go find someone out there to give a high five or a handshake or a hug to, and it will brighten their day. And that too is good stewardship. Let's pray. Well, God, how we thank you that we have so many opportunities to use the gifts you have given us to do your work and share your love. We thank you for these children. We pray your blessing on them, and that in their growing in their faith and in their love for you, they will continue to learn more and more ways to be good stewards, to share your gifts with those around them. In Christ's name, amen. Thank you. The first lesson today, we're reading from 2 Corinthians chapter 8, starting in verse 1. We want you to know, brothers and sisters, about the grace of God that has been granted to the churches of Macedonia. For during a severe ordeal of affliction, their abundant joy and their extreme poverty have overflowed in a wealth of generosity on their part. For, as I can testify, they voluntarily gave according to their means, and even beyond their means, begging us earnestly for the privilege of sharing in this ministry to the saints, and this not merely as we expected. They gave themselves first to the Lord, and by the will of God, to us, so that we might urge Titus that as he had already made a beginning, so he should also complete this generous undertaking among you. excel in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in utmost eagerness, and in our love for you. So we want you to excel also in this generous undertaking. I do not say this as a command, but I am testing the genuineness of your love against the earnestness of others. For you know the generous act of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor, so that by his poverty you might become rich. And in this matter, I am giving my advice. It is appropriate for you who began last year not only to do something, but even to desire to do something. Now finish doing it, so that your eagerness may be matched by completing it according to your means. For if the eagerness is there, the gift is acceptable according to what one has, not according to what one does not have.
Our gospel lesson this morning is found in the Gospel according to Luke in the 10th chapter, and beginning with the 25th verse. Just then a lawyer stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he said, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus said to him, "What is written in the law? What do you read there?" And the lawyer answered, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." And Jesus said to him, "You have given the right answer. Do this, and you will live." But wanting to justify himself, the lawyer asked Jesus, "And who then is my neighbor?" Jesus replied, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell into the hands of robbers who stripped him, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a priest was going down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. So likewise a Levite, when he came up to the place and saw him, he passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, while traveling, came near him. And when he saw him, he was moved with pity. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, having poured oil and wine on them. Then he put him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said, "Take care of him, and when I come back, I will repay you whatever more you spend." Which of these 3 do you think was neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? Jesus asked. The lawyer said, "The one who showed him mercy." Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." May God add a blessing to the reading of God's holy word. Well, the story goes that a devout old shepherd lost his favorite Bible when he was out looking for a wayward lamb. 3 weeks later, a sheep walked up to him carrying the Bible in his mouth. The shepherd couldn't believe his eyes. He took the precious book out of the sheep's mouth, raised his eyes heavenward, and exclaimed, "It's a miracle!" "Not really," said the sheep. "Your name is written inside the cover." I'm glad you got that. That sheep actually talked and that was a miracle. That's good. Because just in case you didn't, I had another joke for you. This one you'll really get. The church council met to discuss the pastor's compensation package for the coming year. After the meeting, the chair of council told the pastor, "We are very sorry, Pastor, but we decided that we cannot give you a raise next year." "But you must give me a raise," said the pastor. "I am but a poor preacher." "I know," the council chair said. "We hear you every Sunday." There's more. Well, today, as you've heard in the past few weeks, and as you've seen in the bulletin, today is Stewardship Sunday. And there are plenty of jokes about giving. But stewardship is really not a joking matter. However, it is a joyful matter. Stewardship, we hope, comes not out of feelings of obligation or guilt, but out of a sense of gratitude and generosity and joy. And these are the things that the Apostle Paul wrote about in his letter to the Corinthians, which we read from this morning. In this letter, Paul is asking the church in Corinth to give a special offering for the church in Jerusalem, which is in great need. As Dr. Carla Works points out in an article about this passage, she says that Paul wants the Corinthians' actions, their giving, to be a reflection of the gospel in which they believe. He also believes that their giving will demonstrate the earnestness, the depth of their faith. And to support his request to them, Paul retells the good news through the lens of generosity. In other words, because of the abundant generosity of God, they have received the gift of grace through Jesus Christ. In gratitude, the church at Corinth is to give generously. His message, though speaking to a specific time and a specific offering, is just as timely and important for us today. In this letter, Paul is also encouraging the church of Corinth not only to give out of their abundance, but to look at the example of the amazing generosity of the churches in Macedonia. Those churches in Macedonia, in places like Thessalonica and Philippi, though they have suffered great persecution and challenges, and were not really all that well off themselves, gave out a sense of joy and generosity and gratitude to this offering to the church in Jerusalem. And Paul is thankful not only for their generosity, but also for who they are as a people and what they have done. And then he also turns that thankfulness towards the church at Corinth and telling them how many gifts that they have that he sees and how thankful he is for them. If Paul were here today, he would say the exact same thing to Zwingli Church in Southampton. He would want us to understand that our giving says something about the earnestness of our faith and is a reflection of the gospel, the good news we have been given. And whether you're able to give only a little or maybe give a lot, the point is to give from a generous and thankful heart. And he would be thankful for the gifts not only given to us, but also thankful for the gifts that we have given. I would have to say that I am thankful this morning. I am thankful for the ministry we have shared at Zwingli over these many years. I am thankful for the ways in which you have given to the church. You have given out of your abundance, and you have sacrificed when your resources have been limited. You've given when times were good, and given when we faced major challenges. You've given monetarily to the ministry needs of the church, to support the budget and meet expenses. And you've also given of your time and talent to the many ministry opportunities of the church. There are times that we've struggled to do these things, and times when they have seemed to come so easily. Through it all, we have strived to follow the call of God and walk this journey of faith together in mutual support and love. Who could not be thankful for that? As some of you know, and as I said this morning, Sally and I were away for about 10 days in the West for 2 conferences being held in San Diego. Sally presented at one and I at the other, and we had some time in between to have some fun, to enjoy the 70-plus degree weather, and to visit with friends that I found were living there. We met with Rip and Leah Ripito, folks that I had known from my days in Las Vegas, but I had not seen them in 20 years. It was great to get back together. Rip Ripito, yes, Rip. One of the folks that we met said that we had great nicknames, Rip and Butch, but the visual just didn't match. Yeah. But Rip Ripito is the CEO and president of the San Diego Convention Center, where one of the conferences was being held. He and Leah are also members of the Pacific Beach Christian Church, and I had the privilege to attend that church with them last Sunday. Now, even though Rip is CEO and president of the Convention Center, which you would think would take up a lot of his time, he's also finishing up seminary, which has taken quite a bit of time for him to complete, as you can imagine. He hopes to continue in his position at Pacific Beach Christian Church, working part-time as he continues his work at the Convention Center. What I love about Rip and Leah in the time that I have known them, and from the stories that I heard, was how involved and committed they have been to the churches that they've been a part of. And that they just get it. They just understand church. They know what it's all about. They understand commitment, the challenges, the needs, the struggles, the joys. And this happened long before Rip went into seminary. It doesn't take a seminary degree to understand what church is all about, to get it. And I was thankful to watch them in action on Sunday morning, Leah singing and Rip playing the guitar. And I could see in their eyes and their body language a deep sense of generosity and joy as they were a part of the service that morning. I was also thrilled to see the members of the church at Pacific Beach Christian Church that morning as well. They are small but incredibly active. They have homeless men who often attend. They have quite a number of folks who are recovering from addiction and are very honest and open about it. I was at a Bible study in which there are some recovering addicts there who opened up Scripture to me in ways I had not seen it before. They're going to be voting whether to be an open and affirming church in 2 weeks. They're surrounded by wealth. Ranch houses on small plots of land right around them go for $1.5 million. They are not a rich church, though. They might be more like the Macedonian church that we heard about in Scripture this morning, and though they are not in poverty, they certainly struggle to meet the needs of the church. But meet the needs of the church they do, and they not only give money, but they also give of their time, they give of their heart, they give out of the joy that they have in being a part of Christ's church. Now, what was interesting while I was there with them, Rip asked me a question. He said, "Butch, you've been gone. You'll be gone for about 10 days. Isn't that hard for you and the church, for you to be gone away that long?" And as I thought about this, and I thought about their church, and I thought about Zwingli, I said in just a few seconds, no. I am very thankful because we have a great interim associate pastor. And we have great members and leadership at this church. I told him that when I'm away for vacation or continuing ed or sabbatical or whatever it might be, I have never worried about Zwingli United Church of Christ or the ministry of this church or the focus of this congregation. Because you too are much like the church at Pacific Beach. You too have a heart of generosity, a heart of joy, a heart of gratitude, a heart for service. And as I answered, I felt grateful and blessed. Of course, we have our struggles at times, don't we? The nominating committee, as Gail can tell you, has been working diligently to fill ministry positions, and we're almost there. Not quite there, but almost. And it's been more of a struggle this year as folks' lives get busier and busier, and people are doing more and more things, and there never seems to be enough time. We feel anxiety at times about the world around us. That also influences our lives, and sometimes we might even get anxious about the church and what might be happening here. We've been meeting expenses, though some months have been pretty lean this year, and we hope that we can get close to meeting budget as well as we did last year. We have a lot of people who are involved in a lot of ministries, but somehow we also feel as though there's more that we can do. There's a lot of needs, not only in the community, but also in our church, many ministries that we can be a part of and that we feel that we can help with and that God is calling us to. There are world events that we're not sure what to do with, but we know that we can at least pray or have a vigil or be in some action in some other way. But through it all, Zwingli Church comes together to listen for God's voice and direction, to meet the challenges before us, and to strive to grow in faith and commitment. Who would not be thankful for that? In the gospel lesson today, we hear the story of the Good Samaritan, often used as an example of what it means to be a neighbor to others. But today the passage is being used as an example of a fully developed steward. The Samaritan, who was seen as an enemy to the Jewish people, gave of his time and his ability and his treasure, gave deeply of his time and his ability and his treasure, even though the person that he helped who was in need considered him an enemy. Even so, he gave out of a generous and grateful heart to meet the ministry needs right before his eyes. The stewards have been speaking the past few weeks about the joy of generosity. Today we will have a chance to offer promise cards, time and talent forms, our offerings, and our commitments. And hopefully this will be a time of joy and celebration as we look to the ways that God can use our gifts, as we look to the ways that God can use our commitments and our lives in service to God's purposes and the ministry to which God continually calls us. And I hope that we will give out of this joy and out of this generosity, out of this heart of gratitude to the ministry needs right before our eyes. Just as Jesus spoke to those crowds that day, just as he spoke to the lawyer who was asking him questions, just as he told the story about what it meant to be a good neighbor and what it meant to be a good steward of what God has given to us, he ended that story with "Go and do likewise." And that is the message to us today. Go and do likewise. For all that God has given to us, let us have hearts of generosity and hearts of gratitude so that we too can be a part of this amazing ministry that God has given us.
Amen.
Please join me in our Zwingli United Church of Christ vision and commitment statement. As a community blessed with the spirit of abundance and generosity, we commit ourselves to create a safe place to restore faith and worship, full of life, energy, and enthusiasm, to connect to the world through our local and global commitments, becoming stronger in our faith, to celebrate all people as God's children, affirming each other's unique gifts. With God's help, we are united in the Spirit, listening and preparing for God's work, embracing the possibilities and ministry that God sets before us. As those who seek God, follow Christ, and are inspired by the Spirit, we challenge ourselves to continue to grow in faithfulness, trust, and service. Amen.
This is the fourth and final week of our stewardship campaign, Experiencing the Joy of Generosity. We reviewed the joy of receiving and giving and experiencing joy through our giving. We also reviewed the joy of managing God's blessings, as He is the source and owner of all things. So our goal is to please and honor Him with how we manage our gifts and blessings. Today, we are focusing on the joy of sharing God's blessings. One day, a second grade boy came to school without his lunch. He did not think about it until his classmates started washing their hands and getting out their lunch boxes. And he was a shy little kid, and he didn't want to say anything because he was embarrassed, but his stomach was really growling. Against his will, his lips started to quiver, and his eyes filled with tears. Soon his teacher noticed, and then all the students did, and he was forced to tell them his problem. No sooner were the words out of his mouth than his classmates were looking into their lunches. One student had 2 sandwiches and gave the hungry boy 1. Another child had an apple and an orange and gave his friend his choice of fruit. Another had too many cookies and shared them. In short, the hungry boy had a feast, all because of the generosity of others who had more than they needed. This is just as God has planned it. One person is in need, and others give so that the need is met. God wants our giving to be joyful and fulfilling. Through our giving, we worship and honor our Lord. Giving expresses our gratitude for God's love and grace given to us in His Son, Jesus. Giving can fill the hunger pains of a little boy. It can also help the homeless and helpless, and it can support the ministry of our church. Through faith, we can share the abundance God has given us, and as we do, we will find joy in sharing God's blessings. Now, within the last couple of weeks, you should have received a mailing from the stewards that included a promise card and a time and talent form. Today is the day when we make a commitment for the gifts we will provide in 2019 through our time, talent, and treasures. The time and talent form is the same as it was last year, where there are 2 columns for you and your spouse to fill in what time and talents you will share, and also a spot to fill in the contact information, which is really important. The promise card is for your financial commitment. The left-hand side and the middle portion are completed and torn apart. So you're going to fill in what your weekly, monthly, or yearly commitment will be. You're going to fill in your name and address, and they are separated. The other side goes in your pocket. And you will keep it there, or where you place your financial list of commitments, as a reminder through the year of what you pledged to give. But today, when you place these in plates, you will have them separated. The two shall never come together. We will not know what you have committed. Prayerfully consider the commitment God leads you to make in the coming year, keeping in mind that your promise is not to our church, it's not to the pastors, or even to the ministry of stewards. Your promise is to God, and you are saying, God, as you provide by faith, this is how I intend to give in the coming year. Another tool available to you is the electronic fund transfer. People in our congregation that use this are giving to us at least $12,500 a month through their electronic giving. It goes into our church account, whether they are here or not. And if you are interested in doing this, you can do it online. There are forms in the sign-in pads, and there's forms on the cabinet at the back of the church. Thank you for your faithful financial support and the guests. Through your giving, we hope you experience the joy of generosity, knowing how your financial support is helping to care for and serve others. May God bless you as you covenant by faith concerning your financial support of this church. To celebrate this covenant and joy of generosity, there will be a cake in the atrium after the service. Please join us for the celebration.